Hey everyone, and welcome to today's explainer. We are going on a visual journey to explore the classic, timeless tale of the lion and the mouse. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. You already know this story inside and out. But today, we're actually going to break it down. We're going to really analyze this fascinating core theme of size versus impact. We'll be looking at how we measure true power. And honestly, I promise you, by the end of this explainer, you're going to see this ancient fable in a totally new light. Let's get into it.
Right off the bat, let's tackle this really intriguing premise that completely flips our everyday ideas about power on their head. We inherently associate massive size with being capable, right? But can the absolute smallest, most vulnerable little guy in the room truly alter the fate of the mighty? I want you to just keep this question simmering in the back of your mind as we go, because it is literally the core of what we're unpacking today.
Just look at this setup. Before this story even really kicks off, we have to recognize the sheer, massive physical contrast between our two main characters. On one side, we have the lion. He is massive, he's incredibly fierce, and he holds that undeniable title of King of the Jungle. And then on the other side, we have the mouse, tiny, playful, and practically a ghost in the grand scheme of the food chain. Setting up this extreme contrast up front is absolutely crucial to understanding exactly what this little mouse is up against.
All right, moving into Section 1, the King of the Jungle and the Mouse.
Okay, so our tale starts off pretty surprisingly funny. Picture the scene. The massive lion is just completely out cold, in a deep post-meal slumber under a tree. And our tiny mouse? He completely ignores literally every single law of jungle survival. He decides this terrifying apex predator is actually a fun jungle gym. He fearlessly uses the massive sleeping king as a personal playground, literally sliding down his tail. It's super humorous, but it also perfectly establishes the mouse's naive, almost reckless bravery right from the jump. But playtime is officially over. Boom! Huge tone shift here. The angry lion wakes up with this thunderous roar and instantly pins the struggling mouse under his giant heavy paw. He bares his large, sharp teeth and he is fully intending to eat him. That visual contrast we just talked about, well, now it's a matter of life and death. The mouse's tiny size makes him completely, totally helpless against the sheer physical force of the king.
Which brings us to Section 2, the mouse's plea and promise.
Listen closely to this pitch. The terrified mouse begs for his life, which, makes total sense. But then he makes an incredibly bold, almost crazy promise. He says, maybe one day I can help you. It's a totally absurd proposition. I mean, how on earth could a creature this tiny ever offer meaningful backup to the undisputed ruler of the entire jungle?
And here is the absolute kicker. The mighty lion doesn't let the mouse go out of some deep, profound sense of morality. Nope, he is just highly amused. He's so entertained by the ridiculous, borderline hilarious idea of a tiny mouse helping him out that he actually spares his life. The sheer arrogance of the lion literally becomes the mouse's saving grace. He opens his massive paw and the mouse is free to go. But before they go their separate ways, the lion makes absolutely sure to remind the mouse who's boss. He casually notes that the mouse is only lucky he had already eaten his meal for the day. He's setting boundaries here. He's basically saying, hey, I am sparing you today, but do not mistake my amusement for weakness. It strictly reinforces that jungle hierarchy right before everything gets flipped upside down.
Let's move right into Section 3, the hunter's laid net.
So, let's track how this actually goes down. This is the systematic trap set by the human hunters. Step 1, the net is laid out. Step 2, the hunters conceal themselves behind trees, completely taking away the lion's ability to spot the threat. Step 3, the unsuspecting king walks right into the danger zone. And finally, snap. The trap is sprung and the ropes are pulled tight. Notice how the once untouchable king gets captured, not by brute strength, but by calculated, sneaky strategy. And the aftermath, it is pure panic. Despite his immense strength and these furious, terrifying roars, the lion is completely helpless. Think about that. His typical go-to defense mechanisms, his giant size and his booming voice, are totally useless against the thick ropes of the net. The hunters secure him and leave to go fetch a transport cart. Just like that, the king of the jungle has been reduced to literal cargo.
Here is where everything changes. Section 4, the small mouse's big help.
So, the lion is trapped, and his booming voice is echoing through the entire jungle. It alerts everyone. The monkeys, the birds, the deer, every single animal hears the king in distress. But fear keeps them all away. It is only the tiny mouse, the exact same guy who was nearly a snack just days prior, who realizes the gravity of the situation and actually decides to step up and act. This quote is just perfect. It fully captures the mouse's bravery and loyalty. He remembers his wild promise, and he doesn't hesitate for a second. The king is in trouble. I must help. This right here proves that true courage isn't determined by your physical size or your muscle mass. It's determined by character. The absolute smallest creature in the jungle is the only one stepping up to face this human trap.
And I just love how methodical this rescue is. First, the mouse provides emotional support. He tells the panicking king to calm down. Second, he scales this massive net. And third, and this is absolutely crucial, he uses his unique physical traits, his tiny but incredibly sharp little teeth, to defeat a trap that brute strength couldn't even dent. The very smallness that made him so weak against the lion is suddenly the exact perfect tool to slip into the net and chew those ropes.
All right, our final chapter, Section 5, Firm Friends Forever.
The lion's realization of the mouse's immense worth is beautifully summed up right here. He doesn't just mumble a quick thank you. No, he grants the tiny hero the ultimate title, Prince of the Jungle. It's a complete 100% validation of the mouse's impact. The king finally gets it. He understands that real value comes in all sizes, and he honors the mouse with a title that commands respect from every other animal out there. And we come full circle back to the humor, but notice the difference this time around. The lion actively invites the mouse to use his tail as a slide. They're united in play now. But that brand new bond is put to the test immediately when they spot the returning human hunters. Instead of the lion facing them all alone, or the mouse hiding away in the dirt, the lion and the mouse actually run toward the threat together as a completely unified front.
Talk about an incredibly satisfying payoff. The hunters show up expecting a helpless, tied-up captive, and instead, they find a furious, fully freed king of the jungle standing side by side with his new best friend, the prince of the jungle. The hunters absolutely book it. They flee in terror back to their village. And from that day on, the massive predator and the tiny rodent are firm friends forever, proving for sure that the most unbreakable alliances often come from the most unexpected places.
So, to wrap up our explainer today, I'm going to leave you with this final thought to chew on in your own daily life. You know, just like the mighty lion, it is so easy for us to dismiss the small, the quiet, or the seemingly insignificant things around us. But as we've explored today, impact is not measured in pounds or inches. The next time you are faced with a massive problem, just remember that sometimes the solution requires the smallest, sharpest set of teeth. Have you been completely underestimating someone small in your life? Maybe even yourself. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. And hey, keep looking for that hidden strength in the little things.